Right, hope no one heard me because I was like talking to myself. Right, who talks to themselves? Please give me some love hearts. Who talks to themselves? Because I seem to talk to myself like all the time. All the time. Hi everyone, I'm Hannah. If you guys don't know me, please drop some love hearts or say hi for wherever you are around the world. I'm obviously jumping a live stream because I've got some stuff to talk about. Hey Pauline, hey Amanda, say hi when you're here, guys. Say hi, hi. All right, okay, it's gonna do the thing and not let me share it. Let's go to this one. Right. Okay, I'm checking in because number one, Mystic Mastery only has less than 48 hours to go before the doors close. So with Mystic Mastery, it's the 6 months one-on-one. This is also where we dive deep into immersion with the VIP immersion day. There is only, like I said, less than 48 hours. This will be the last intake for Mystic Mastery for 2019. So if you're wanting that deep level support and the online stuff just doesn't cut it for you, this is the one because it drops deep into one-on-one in person. We go deep, baby. We shift to the core. Hey, Leanne. All right, I got some important things to talk about, right? This like, hey women, like go easy on the men, right? I want to talk about this topic for some reason. This has been dropping in for me to live stream about. I don't know, I talk to a lot of my clients about it. So it's kind of important for me to talk about it, obviously. Okay, let me just share this. Yes, it's letting me do it. Okay. Awesome. Oh, how easy was that? Maybe I just had to talk for a little bit and then it let me do it. Yes. Yes. Oh, that was easy. Okay, that's awesome. That was so easy. Yes. All right. Okay. So let's talk about this. Women, go easy on the men. Now, I know it sounds a little bit judgmental, but there's something I really want to talk about here with that. And then also the other thing about this feeling like you've been doing something wrong, feeling like you're going to do something wrong, feeling like I'll get it wrong, feeling like I did it wrong. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that has been a collective thread the past 3 days, especially. Even just feeling like off or weird. And I just want to check in with people how they're feeling, because I feel like it's been a collective thing, but also with see, it's a collective thing, and or is it a weekend thing, right? Because I don't know, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I feel like this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is like this drop into, I don't know, do you guys feel it? Hey Abby, like as an empath, as a highly sensitive, whatever label you want to put on yourself, we feel everything. And I just like, I'm sure I've discussed this before, but I talk about it with my clients all the time. I'm like, it's the weekend. Remember, it's the weekend. Because I feel like we get in this like collective like wave of like people who work 9 to 5 in the world. Yeah, it's a world collective. And then like we come into this like space around, you know, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday is like the week winds down. You can feel it like, end of the week collective. And then like, you know, on the weekend can feel really like, for me personally, I know, because I feel all my neighbors home. I can feel everyone around the suburb. Like it's a different energy towards like between Monday to Friday when everyone's at work. Like give me some love hearts if you guys have recognized that pattern. And then even like, you know, by Sunday night, Monday morning, Tuesday, like it's kind of like this thing. But I don't know, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was feeling like this like so much. Like I had to take like a day off yesterday basically and just like reset my energy. If you saw it on my story, you would have seen I'm like resetting my energy because it's gone so fucking deep. Like there has been some big things shifting in my life personally, but I also know collectively it's been huge. Now I know I always talk about this, you know, like that December, January just gone, it was a really dark time for a lot of people, and it's like I feel like there was a collective wave of darkness or something over humanity. And then like, you know, August, September, October now, we're kind of like, I don't know what the word is, like we are, I feel like we're birthing a new reality right now. I don't know, I just feel like I'm repeating myself all the time, but maybe because I just did my Instagram story. So my Instagram TV are doing this like daily oracle on Instagram TV, and I just spoke about the energies on there. But I feel it's important to share here because this August, September, October, like I feel like October is going to be the same energy where August, September, like our faith is being stretched. Now, not only are we like birthing a new reality, what does that even mean? Like there's like a collective, I feel like a collective web where we're not pushing anymore. We're stepping out of that masculine, coming into more of a balance, like, you know, receiving receptive energy, but doesn't require the same pushing energy, but we are becoming more supported in the way that the faith is being stretched in so many ways about that, right? So in this space, it's like really looking at what is currently going on. And then the other message, when I was getting that message around like women, go easy on the men. So I know I don't even know why I've been getting the tap on the shoulders to talk about this. But in this space, it's like looking at, so I work with a lot of clients who, okay, what I'm about to say, a little bit of a disclaimer, might sound really judgmental, but please know I'm explaining the energy, and it's not what I think about men in a way, right? But I see this, I've experienced, I've walked through it, and then I've walked through the other side of understanding and recognizing what's really going on. So I'm going to drop a whole pile of things in this space, and it's all of these and not these at the same time, right? So, and again, because it's not all men and it's not all women, right? But I feel really called to talk about this for some reason. So this women go easy on the men is sometimes like, okay, again, different types of men, but there's men who go to work, come home. There's women who stay home and are the housekeeper, so to speak, caring for the house. But the men who come home, and there's some women who will nitpick at the men. They're not doing anything, they're not living their purpose, they're not stepping up, they're not doing this, they don't do anything, like they drink on the weekends, they take drugs on the weekends, they go to work, like, do you know what I mean? Like there's this nitpicking, right? And there's a couple of things here, okay? When you're experiencing that with a man, or they're very feminine in their energy and they're not stepping up, or they're not following through or anything like that, what's going on there is, number one, yes, the woman is in a more masculine energy, the man's in a more feminine energy. Like, yes, there's all these energetics, but this is the real important piece that I feel called to talk about for some reason, needing to share this, which you guys probably already know, right? But a big part of men, and this is where, like, I know men and women, they both commit suicide, yeah, but where I feel like a lot of men get stuck, they feel helpless, they don't know what to do, especially when they've got a woman nitpicking them, and so that kind of drives them to drink more or whatever. Like, you know, I'm not saying that's their fault, but you know, it can be that, in a sense, that men have lost their purpose. Men in today's world have lost their purpose. Now, let me explain that. When I say that, I mean on a collective level, right? And again, it's not all men, there's different men, blah, blah, blah. But on a collective energy level, and this can help women to step out of the nitpicking, out of their not doing what they're supposed to do, like whatever. In a sense that men have lost their purpose. Like eons ago, and still today in some cultures, we lived in tribes. The men's purpose was to protect and to hunt. Yeah? To protect, to hunt, to protect the tribe, and to hunt for food and bring it back for, well, I think women and men probably prepared, who knows, right? That was men's purpose. In today's world, that's not there anymore. Women don't need protecting. there's not a need to protect the tribe, unless you're in the army or the forces or whatever. There's not that purpose there anymore. They don't go out and, even a century ago, men were the providers and the women stayed at home. That doesn't even happen today anymore. So men have lost their purpose even more. So before you start looking at your man, if you have one in your life, and nitpicking and recognizing how they're not stepping up and they're not doing this and they're not doing that, like, number one, it's about shifting the focus, yes, right? But also remembering that the entire world and collective is shifting. Now, when I say men have lost their purpose, it doesn't mean that there is no purpose, right? It says that everything is shifting. And again, it's not all men, right? But it's a big part of why men also feel like that on a collective level. So you know how when women not women, any person awakens, yeah, spiritually awakens, they have a dawning moment or something hits them and they wake up, right? And there's a lot of grief sitting there, and the ones who really travel that grief and really feel it to the depth of their core, they will tell you that at one point they would have felt like that they were grieving and crying not for themselves, and not even crying for the state of humanity, but crying what I call piercing the veil's grief, where it goes through time and space, and it goes through it's a generational, but not even generational. It's more, it's I guess it is generational in a way, all of the depths of the grief of everything that you have, we feel that depth of grief, right? Now, if you've cried like that, when you've had a spiritual awakening, you've let yourself go into your feelings and you've cried to the depths through the veil of grief, right? That feeling is a somewhat collective feeling, and there's only certain people that will go to that depth of grief, know how to handle it, know what to do with it, know how to feel it, know how to travel it, and they're the ones that are probably the deepest, most grounded people on the planet, because they can hold that depth. There's not many people that do that. Yeah, you can feel it in somebody's core, whether they've traveled that depth of grief or not. You will recognize them. It's the soul recognition. You will feel it to your core. And you also feel it with other people when they haven't. That is, I don't know how to describe it any other way, as a collective feeling, grief drop to the core space, right? For the men, and I'm talking about the men have lost their purpose, what I mean by that is that is also a collective drop-in core thing. Do you know what I mean? So any of the men out there who are doing the deep personal development work will have at some point probably felt that to their core. And there's probably a lot of men that feel it that don't know what that feeling is, but that's what it is, right? And they might cover it up or whatever's going on, right? So in that space, when we can recognize that, and for the men who actually do travel that depth and recognize that, when we do drop into those core bits, we're not only shifting it for us, but we're shifting it for the collective. And for whatever reason, I just felt called to share that there's a lot of men that feel like they don't have a purpose, and it's not even, sometimes they're not even that conscious of it because it runs that deep. Does that make sense? Right? So if you're a woman watching this and you've got a man who you're like, yep, right, and you can completely relate to that, for whatever reason, I'm getting called to share that on here, this message here. And it's kind of like when you are aware of that, then you can, one, take the judgment out of it, right? Because the other part of being with a man who is not stepping up, who you think should be doing all this and they're not, blah, 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 blah. It's like, actually, where are you not stepping up in your life? Where are you not listening to your intuition? Are you, where are you blaming them for not stepping up when actually it's something that you're needing or wanting to do in your life and take action on that you're not, and you're projecting that onto them? So two-way street, yes, definitely. Do not disregard that at all, right? So important to look at, especially if it's really triggering you. Yeah. Sometimes it's not, but a lot of the time, yeah, there's something that you're not doing that you need to take action on, but instead you're blaming them for not stepping up when actually you're not stepping up. You're not. There's something that's bugging you that you want to do, but you can't, so you project it onto them for not stepping up when actually it's you who needs to take action or wants to take action or whatever that is, right? So in that space of recognizing, and if you're a man watching this, it's like really being aware that it is bigger than you. It's a collective shift, right? And as the men start to step up and take a lead again, now that doesn't mean, I'm not talking about control and all that sort of thing, but I'm talking about doing that deep inner work, because when you drop into that core of purposelessness, when you feel that hopelessness, that powerlessness, when you've actually dropped into the core of that and the loss of power, loss of purpose, that's when it all shifts again. And that's when you find your purpose again. That's when we drop into the grief and we feel that depth of grief. That's when we feel the light again, right? So when you're looking at that, and even as a woman, and you might have a man like that, it's kind of like understanding that, taking the fucking pressure off, and then really looking at what actually do they do. What can you do as a couple to, I'm hearing like negate that, but I don't know if that's the right word, right? How can you work as a couple, as a team, right? Because usually there's a lot of time of like this, it's kind of like, well, what about this, right? So really working with that, but also allowing that space of grief, and depending on what sort of relationship you have, what sort of communication you have in the relationship, but to really like allow that space of, there might be some sort of conversation that you could have around that, and or, right, depending on the style of relationship that you have, and or you recognizing that within your man, that can take so much energetic pressure off and change the entire relationship alone, just with that awareness and that energetic pressure removed. And then there's also the space around coming into that sense of, if you can't work together, drop into that consciously. It's kind of like recognizing that and then asking them for more support, like in a sense of like giving them purposeful roles around the house. Or maybe you already have that enough, and maybe it's actually you that needs to recognize that support and actually take action on what you're being guided to do, right? So a couple little threads there around that. So for whatever reason, I felt called to share that. Hey, Katrina. So Amy said, everything is backwards. This was helpful. Thanks. You're so welcome. Okay. Hey, Tammy. All right. So yeah, so just those couple of things I wanted to share there about that, right? And that feeling of wrongness, right? So this is like the feeling of wrongness thread that has been really strong the past 3 days with a lot of my clients. I've been recognizing it as well. I spoke to someone else and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's like bit more than just me, and I always forget that, right? Lately I'm like, why do I forget that lately? So in that sense, it is like looking at that sense of the wrongness, yeah. And the best way that I share to clear wrongness or clear a thread is to simply purge it out, right? Like all the ways that I'm feeling wrong right now, or wronged by someone, or I'm gonna do this wrong, or whatever it is, like purge. Like it's so important to purge it out. Now, the other part of that is that when we look at what I just explained around the men have lost their purpose and the actual collective shifts that are going on, it's like looking at that wrongness that's intertwined with that. So when there's wrongness and not enoughness, and it's interesting that this is like coming up, and I feel like this is like a whoop, and then we're birthing an entire new reality, like that, like I said, that that December, January is now August, September, October. We're birthing this whole new reality and way of being. Hey, Jonathan. And it's really like letting it come out. Like, do you know what I mean? Like there's a last little like birthing, like last little threads, right? If you looked at my Instagram story today on the Daily Oracle, the card that was actually pulled was, what was it? It was the Unbound, yeah? Releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives, which is like confirming exactly, like what's been going on the past few days energetically, plus this whole like men have lost their purpose. And when we really look at it, it's like, if that was say patriarchal from eons ago, right, where it got out of control and into controlling, when we look at the drop down and like the feminine's rising and all this shit, like I don't believe that is it's kind of like it's coming into balance again. It's like coming up, and so the patriarchal drops out of control, but it's like that's where it feels like it's lost its purpose. Like, and it you know, technically it has, in a sense of everything I explained earlier with the men losing their purpose about protecting and hunting for the tribes. But in that sense as well, it's like, it's not that they've lost their purpose, it's that the purpose is changing, right? So if it's coming back into balance, the patriarchal and the matriarchal, it's coming back into balance. It's that the purpose change, rebirth, and I feel like that's what's going on as we're about to step into 2020, moving into the age of Aquarius for the next 10 years. So in that space, it kind of makes a lot of sense, right? We are in a 9 year, 2019, like the 9 is like, you know, the end of a cycle. So we're like moving into 2020, which is, you know, it's number one, it's the start of a new cycle. Yeah, 2020, it's a 0. Then we're 2021, like we're starting a whole new cycle again. Plus this is like the last birthing out of all that stuff, and that's why the Grim Reaper and Witch were all around, you know, in that such dark time, December, January, and now we're birthing it. And I feel like around April, so what's that? So 12, 13, so January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, so that April, May, I feel like will be probably another kind of dip of it, because I always say that 9-month cycle and then that 18-month cycle. Yeah, so those two key dates, so 9 months and 18 months. So that April, May might be a little like another kind of like clearing and thread of it. And then I just feel like we're just going to like move into that. And then 3 years after this December and January just gone. So whatever that is, right? My math's not good in my head. You can see, right? Math's not my strong point. English, yeah. Jonathan, totally agree. Yes. Hey, Monique. Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, so I just felt, for whatever reason, felt called to jump on and share that. So if you think this has helped somebody, please share it with them. Please tag their name in the comments or send it in a private message to them. My Mystic Mastery only has another 2 days left. If you're wanting that deep there's another 6 months there, right? 6 months one-on-one. This is the last time it will be open for 2019. This is where it's not only the one-on-one support via WhatsApp, you've got me unlimited for 24/7, but this is also a VIP immersion day. So if you feel like working online just doesn't cut it for you, that is the one-on-one immersion day. So where I travel to you or we meet wherever, and we go deep diving into hands-on processes and shifting that deepest, darkest core. If you feel like meditation never works, so if you feel like all this stuff just doesn't work and you've tried a zillion things, this is the space to jump in. I'm going to put the link in the comments. And does anyone have any questions for me? Let me know if you've got any questions, or whether you feel like this has made a lot of sense about how you've been feeling over the past few days, because I know for me, it's definitely, I was just like, oh yes, this makes total sense now. So I would love to hear if that's how it feels like for you as well. Or not, maybe not. Maybe that's just me. But hey, Jonathan's like, hey, yes, totally makes sense. I agree. Well, that's why I felt called to share. I was getting like tap, tap, tap on the shoulder to share this message. So of course I did. So I was going to drop the link in and it's not working. So you'll see it posted on my page. It's in there. But yeah, if you guys have got questions, just let me know. I'll just give another minute because I know there's a delay there. Or if you're watching the replay, of course, let me know if you've got any questions about anything that I've shared around that. Also, if you haven't seen, so even if you're a female or a male, if you haven't seen my Single Dads I Have Something to Say to You live stream, I did that, oh gosh, a couple of years ago now, but it's a powerful live stream around actually women, we need to stop hating on the men, beating up the men, whatever it was, you know, like being harsh on the men, thinking they've got, you know, not stepping up, not doing this, not doing that. If you haven't seen that live stream, I might post it on my page later as well. I felt called to share that again. That is really about, you know, the women waking up, you know, and we talk about this like patriarchal control whereas, you know, like there's been a lot of like you know, you like talk about control and that sort of thing. Like, it's both men and women, you know, we both do it. You know, there's as much abuse in the women as there is men. Like, there is, the guys, like, you know what I mean? Like, and when we actually start taking responsibility for that, that's when this shifts, yeah? As much as there's patriarchal control up here, there's matriarchal control down here too, yeah? And what's happening is that this shift is coming here, and we're both waking up. We're both shifting out of that, yeah, into deep balance, yeah? We're not expanded anymore. We're not controlled and contracted down here anymore. We're both coming into this balance, bringing it back into balance. Yes, exactly. Yes. Hey, Penny, thank you so much. All right, guys, if there's no questions, I'm going to jump off this live stream. I love you guys heaps. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, to like and subscribe as well. Mwah. Love you. The shift of balance, of final balancing. Yes, it is, isn't it? That final balancing, that out of the expansion and the contraction, it's like coming back into balance now. Yeah. Yes. All right. Mwah. Love you guys heaps. Bye.